Cursed by the old gods in Bethany, we are 4 souls destined to review the 1001 movies,
albums,
foods, songs,
and TV shows you must consume before you die. Until then, we are the Immortals. And this is episode 141.
Woo!
Indeed.
I like numbers that are palindromes.
Well, that's what it was. I was about to say numbers that are parallel, but that is the actual correct word.
I mean, if you write the ones without any serifs, then the ones are also parallel.
They are.
So there's that. Whoa, deep, man.
Depending on how you write the 4, sometimes the tines can be parallel.
I guess that's true. Although that's a weird way to write a 4. I got, shamed in elementary school for writing my 4s that way.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
that and writing my 8s like snowmen instead of figure 8s. It was a substitute teacher, and she had a lot of opinions, and I cried.
Doesn't
my god! What age were you?
Better things to do.
Grade, I think. Yeah.
Junior high school.
Well, no, because she definitely was only babies write their 4s that way, and I was like, no one ever taught me to do it any different way.
That is so wildly inappropriate.
It's just one of those things that's I just all that happened is I was a regular kid who had a weird substitute teacher one day of my life in 3rd grade, and I remembered the whole thing.
This reminds me of the first year I was in junior high. The teacher refused to call my math and English teacher is the same person, and she refused to call me JC because she said it wasn't a real name.
Oh, God.
And then she would say my name, and then I just wouldn't answer because nobody has ever called me anything other than JC literally my whole life. And then she would get mad because she'd be like, "You're not listening to me." And I was like, "I don't know who this person is that you're talking to."
My name is Jiminy Cricket and or JC.
I would have answered to Jiminy Cricket.
Yeah.
Probably at that age.
Johnny Cash, another option.
Oh my god.
You really got to get a good list going, and just for any time anybody asks you what it stands for, just have a different answer every time.
I definitely do. I had a friend in college.
A variety of genders and lack thereof.
Literally. I had a friend in college who every time she would write emails to me, she would be like, Jamaican Christmas, Juniper Chrysanthemum, Jumping Cat. It was her favorite thing, just to think of new J's and C's.
And we will never say the real J and C on this podcast.
No.
It is a mystery. An enigma to all.
It's like a spell. If you say it 3 times, I don't know.
I
appear in your house,
then
a new episode happens.
I appear in your house and I steal your pets and all your food.
No. You don't, honestly, you don't want my cat. You don't. She's just... No.
I'm just marking this down as things to reveal in the final episode of this podcast. And JC's real name is now on it.
It's if you say the name of a demon, you can summon them.
Yeah, it's exactly like that.
Them. Oof.
The point is, you're a demon.
We're getting in... That was my demon noise.
Good, very good.
Annie, how you all doing? We had a week off.
Yeah.
Did we? Oh my god, I watched so much Gilmore Girls.
Gilmore Girls is very good.
Before we do all that, I'm Austin.
Oh, I'm Sarah.
I'm JC.
And I'm Pedro.
And together we are the Immortals. Every week we review the 1001 movies, albums, songs, and TV shows must consume before you die. It's episode 140, and we'll talk about 141. I really was I think it was 140, and nope, I stopped. I
left it there to linger.
I had an ellipses mid-number.
Okay.
We're all doing fine. But
I'm doing fine.
But yeah, what?
Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah.
This is the second episode of 2019, so why would you say that?
Happy second week of January?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy Martin Luther King Day.
Is that today?
No, that's next.
But
Wait
yeah, I mean, by the time, guys,
my understanding of where this podcast exists in the time-space continuum is literally always fucked because we're ahead, but not. But I know where I am, and it's just I don't know.
That's nice. I just forgot that that would be a thing.
Yeah.
3-day weekend.
Yeah.
But I should. Yeah. I should spend it doing social justice things because I'm not a monster. But I also did it for 3-day weekend. So there's that.
I'm probably gonna play video games all day.
Well, you should feel guilty about that.
I mean, a little.
No, I'm
just a little.
Still playing Red Dead 2. I got so much more to go.
As long as you do the mission where you get to kill the KKK on MLK Day, you're good.
Okay, I'll do that. Anywho, in one watch or do anything fun before we get into the podcast?
I watched Venom.
Oh, God.
It was
Oh, my God.
I had fun.
This now tracks so much for me because I just in our group chat was thinking like, hey, let's be less formal about off the list and we'll just talk about things that are going on. And Pedro was out of character going, no, I think we should keep this because it turns out you fucking watched Venom and you want to talk about
Well, that's actually not. I thought of that just now. I didn't even know what I was going to pick when this whole conversation was happening. I was like, oh, I'm sure I've seen some things. But then when I sat down and we started recording, I was like, wait a minute, I know what I've seen.
I'm going to throw out a wild guess here and that I'm going to say that you probably fucking loved Venom.
It was great.
God damn it.
I've heard it's quite good.
I think you're wrong.
It's hilarious.
Like, I haven't seen it, but you're wrong.
I laughed so much.
Is it supposed to be funny?
I think so.
What happened to Tom Hardy? Can we take a moment and like dive into that?
He did
Tom Hardy
well in
was
this
supposed to
movie.
be like an incredible movie star.
Does he
like?
do we see his face? No,
Yeah.
It's Venom.
Yeah, we
true.
see his face all the time.
Well, no, I mean, Venom covered up his face.
Almost never. You haven't seen the movie.
I'm just saying, like, Tom
Venom
Hardy's...
is a parasite that lives inside of his body. Sometimes the parasite will encase his body and do super things, but other times it's just someone that lives inside of Tom Hardy, and you see Tom Hardy walking around arguing with a voice inside of his head that's Venom.
That actually sounds pretty funny. But, like,
Right?
his weird, like, gimmick is that, like, his mouth is usually covered up during a major part of a movie.
I mean, I don't think this is a gimmick as much as something that Austin and I are obsessed with.
No. Everyone, like, so much of Tom Hardy is mumbling or not showing his mouth. He is very
like,
self-conscious
the
about
obvious-
one part of his face.
Which, like, I mean, yeah, like
Dunkirk, Bane.
Bane from Batman,
Mad Max.
Mad Max.
There's like 4 lines that whole fucking movie.
There's a bunch of them.
Just something like redemption.
You know,
I kind of think you guys need to watch this movie now.
The Revenant is mostly beard. Just going through his list now.
Yeah, we got to talk about this first.
You can definitely see him talk in Inception. Definitely.
That's true.
That's true.
Inception is one of
Inception is
his cleanest, like, and...
His mouth shuts of Tom Hardy.
Yeah. He's also, like, he's by himself in the movie Locke, which is just him driving home and, like, on his phone and things going. It was a good movie. I liked Locke.
I will say that Venom sounds hilarious in, like, a bad way, whereas Into the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was probably one of the best movie-going experiences on a superhero movie I've had recently. It's animated, which I totally I mean, like, honestly, I'll say, like, I was kind of not here for. I'm not a big fan of what has been on offer so far for animated superhero movies. This is totally different. It's really, really well done. It's not like, often I feel like the animated stuff is very, like, comic book nerdy, like, niche, and this is very much, like, wide audience appeal, and, like, really fun, really imaginative, really, like, lovely and diverse, and, like, you know, life-affirming in good ways, and really funny, because it's a Spider-Man movie, and Spider-Man should be a stand-up comic, and it's just, it's very good, and I liked it a lot.
John Mulaney in his best role ever as
John
Spider-Man.
Mulaney as Spider-Ham.
Mm-hmm.
God,
there's a talking pig Spider-Man in Spider-Verse.
Is it Spider-Pig?
Spider-Ham.
Does whatever a Spider-Pig can?
It's Spider-Ham, because they obviously are not, it's not a Fox movie, so it can't be Spider-Pig.
Well, I think everything that's in the movie is from a comic.
Yeah,
Yes,
there is
that
a
is
Spider-Ham, like, spin-off. I think it was I watched the John Mulaney was on Jimmy Fallon, and I can only really stomach watching that, like, a clip of Jimmy Fallon for, like, 2 minutes. Yeah. And in that 2 minutes, John Mulaney was like, oh, yeah, it was in the 80s. Spider-Ham was a thing. And so I think all of the permutations of Spider are, like, real things throughout Spider-Man history.
It's so
cool.
It's so good. It
was honestly one of the best movies I saw this year.
Honestly,
like, amazing.
It
deserves an Oscar. It won a Golden Globe. It just won a Golden Globe.
It
so
did.
At least it has that.
It is right now the front runner for Best Animated Feature.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this is, I'm going to make a general 2018 point. I feel like 2018 is when it's like we've finally gotten over the hurdle where where like people are making really, really good movies and good popular movies about characters of color, and like it's not a gimmick anymore, and you can just do it well. And that is exciting because there's so many stories to tell other than the stories of white men, guys. Like, it's so exciting that, like, in the staleness of our, like, narrative world where we feel we have told the same stories over and over again, we haven't, because you've been ignoring most of the population, and there's all of these other stories to tell. And Spider-Verse is one of them, and I loved it.
Yeah, I hope so. I really hope that it is something that becomes like, I don't know, like sort of as you said, like that it's no longer a hurdle, that like, I mean, we know that like Black Panther 2 is coming.
Yeah.
That like we have more of this and less like Captain America, Ant-Man, the stuff that I'm just sort of tired of. Would love like a gay, just one.
Yeah.
I would be super into that also.
Well,
just to sprinkle on top. Maybe that's next.
It's really true. It's actually
Superwoman.
I think in the comics,
Supergirl's sister in the show is gay. One of the Legends of Tomorrow is gay.
Someone in the comics is gay right now.
Is gay. Basically, the CW shows have a lot of gay superheroes.
But
nothing on
screen. Mostly so that girls can kiss. Like, it's not great. Like, for real. Like, mostly so girls can kiss. Like, I don't think there are any gay male characters. All the gay women are hot. Not that there are not, like, lovely hot gay women who have important stories to tell, but I'm just saying there's an edge to that is a thing.
Speaking of superheroes, can I talk about the thing that I'm really jazzed about this week? I'm so behind the ball on this, but I am 2 volumes into the graphic novel series Saga.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard good things.
Oh, it's so good. Austin knows I'm a really big Y the Last Man fan, and this is by the same dude. It's so good. And yesterday, my roommate revealed that he has all the volumes, and he came and delivered them to me in a pile, and I squealed with glee. It's so good. I've just read the first 2, but Saga is like this sort of like slightly Romeo and Juliet story of these 2 people from warring factions who fall in love and have a kid. It's narrated by their kid who's an infant and like all these different alien worlds. The art is super incredible. There's a cat. Love it.
The cat lets you know when someone's lying.
Oh, the lying cat is so good. It ticks all my boxes, to be honest. So
Saga is fantastic. I've only read like the first couple, mostly just because I just want to keep collecting them and then like just do another big binge of it. Yeah. Because whenever like I read like maybe 3 or 4 volumes, but whenever I read a volume, I then reread the previous ones. Yeah, Brian K. Vaughan.
It's so good.
He's a really good writer.
So good. I think it's better than Y the Last Man. Y the Last Man is really good. I don't think anything beats the first issue of Y the Last Man when all the men die. That whole volume is just like incredible. But in general, I don't know. It's just really good. Run, don't walk.
2019, there should be a Y the Last Man TV show. Yeah. Because
I'm scared. That's my scared noise.
I was about to ask what that noise was, but yeah, FX made a pilot. It's hard for me to imagine them not picking it up. Yeah, FX makes good stuff. You also had a trailer for the Bob Fosse miniseries starring Sam Rockwell.
Yes. Oh my God. Just to tie all these like threads together, Michelle Williams is in Venom. She's also going to be Gwen Verdon in the Bob Fosse show. So excited about that. I literally spent some time yesterday on YouTube watching old Gwen Verdon videos.
I am deciding whether or not, because the miniseries, which looks amazing, I'm glad that the trailer was so crazy stylish and that they're using shots from like all that jazz and just all like the iconic stuff. It looks crazy and wild. I just can't decide whether or not to read the biography it's based off, because Sam Watson's Fosse is what the miniseries is based off of. Don't know if I should read it before or after the miniseries, but it looks...
after.
After.
You always read it after.
Why?
Because then it's like an extended edition, if you really liked the thing that you watched.
That's true. That makes sense. That. Also, it's 1,000 beta songs, so I should, like, wait. Yeah. All right. Let's get into this episode. We are reviewing the 597th things on all these lists.
Cool.
Let's see what they are.
We watched Nashville.
The album was Locust Abortion Technicians by the Butthole Surfers.
You almost just like picture Venom.
Yep.
That's great. Anyway, the song we listened to is Let's Dance by David Bowie.
And the TV show is Gilmore Girls. Which one of these is not like the other?
One of these things doesn't belong.
Anywho, let's start with the movie segment. JC, what do we watch?
We watched Nashville. Down, 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 down.
Nashville is about a lot of things and a lot of people. See all 24 of them and the outrageous things they do in Robert Altman's Nashville.
Robert Altman's Nashville.
For movie lovers.
The damnedest thing you ever saw.
So, Nashville is considered to be Robert Altman's masterpiece. It came out in 1975. It is, I guess, sort of a musical, and sort of a comedy, sort of a drama, about folks in Nashville who are in the country music scene. Some of them are more popular than others. There's about 600 people in this movie, including Jeff Goldblum. Surprise, surprise. Yes. Who says no words, but at one point is shaving half naked. Obviously the most important part of the film. But wow, it's really hard to summarize what this movie is about.
I know.
Because
Nashville.
it's about Nashville.
It's just America.
It's about America.
It's specifically Nashville.
It is. I went to Nashville within the past year, and I would say Nashville. Did you know that Nashville is the number one place to go in America for bachelorette parties?
No.
Over Vegas?
Over Vegas. Nashville is number one.
Huh.
And I feel like that energy is in this movie. It has big bachelorette party energy.
That is actually really
BBE. BBPE. Yeah. But so there are very famous, or not very famous, but people who are like the sort of like the fundamental people of this scene, who are like these men singing about America and women who are wearing white dresses. And then you have like your trios and your like handsome man with the acoustic guitar. None of their names really matter. You can't really tell who's the main character or not. Lily Tomlin's a gospel singer. There's just a lot happening.
Oh shit, there's Elliot Gould.
Yeah.
There's a guy with a tricycle.
Jeff Goldblum.
Shelley Duvall walks around in her underwear. There's
politics.
A lot happens.
Politics.
The ladies from the BBC.
The lady from the BBC is the best part of this movie, and I will fight anyone who disagrees with me.
Wait, what's the best part of this?
The
movie?
lady from the BBC,
I
Opal.
don't think she was actually
God.
from the BBC.
Opal is the best part of this movie.
Was it just me thinking that she was trying to chase her dream and she wasn't actually... Okay.
That tracks.
Honestly, that makes a lot more sense than her being from the BBC, but I love her very much.
My favorite Opal bit is her walking through the junkyard and being like, the cars, they're bleeding rust. It's like the cars are crying out. The cars.
Do you think the children dream of these school buses as yellow monsters?
I thought that I personally loved her extremely racist look at the gospel choir. It was the best.
She asked him.
I want to be clear. It's because the scene is playing for laughs, the absolute absurdity of everything she's saying, but like, man, is it a great scene.
It was close enough to the beginning where I was like, whoa, what kind of a movie is this?
Pedro, I'm with you. I was like, and then like as it went on, I was like, there's no tape in that tape recorder. She's beautiful minding this straight up. But yeah. What do we all think of this?
I wanted to throw out my favorite Opal line.
Oh, yes, sure.
Because when she's interviewing Lily Tomlin, and she asks, like, do your kids want to be singers? And, like, they're born deaf. She's like, what? They're deaf. They're born deaf. Oh, I'm sorry. No, they're really lovely. Let me meet them. No, it's too sad. She won't, like, look at her anymore.
Yeah.
Wild.
But yeah, I've seen this before. It's my third time watching it. Did Let's Take 5 about this, like, last year. Why do you keep shaking your head,
Well,
Pedro?
the first time I was shaking my head is to acknowledge that I had not seen this before. The second one was, why'd you pick this for Let's Take 5?
Because we did a Robert Altman 5?
But why this one?
Because this is an American masterpiece?
It's a masterpiece?
Yes?
I'm not the biggest fan of this movie, not gonna lie.
Go ahead, Pedro.
Ooh.
I mean, it was fine. Fun-ish to watch. Way too long, and after a while, to be honest, I didn't care about anybody. I didn't care about any of their stories, anything happening. I couldn't follow, like, a single piece for long enough to get invested into it. So when there's, like, at one point they're in, like, some weird retreat or something, and you're following, like, 4 different conversations all at once, I didn't care about any of them. And I was like, you know what? This is too much for too long, and it's... why?
It is a lot to digest. Yeah.
It is a movie where, like, yes, it is long. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes long. And yet, not in one sitting. If this was twice as long, I'd watch it. Like, if this was just, like, a 6-part miniseries.
Well, this was going to be 2 separate things, wasn't it?
I think so. Robert Altman does a lot of stuff like that.
Okay.
We've reviewed one of his films in this podcast. Cade and Mrs. Miller.
Oh, yeah.
The
it's
Western.
Very different than this movie.
Very different.
Except they talk the same. In that, like, it is that classic Altman.
That's fair.
Everyone's not waiting for the person to finish. Everyone's kind of talking to themselves, mumbling, or just, like, trailing off. And
well, I mean, it's part of the reason he's a great filmmaker. Like, they talk like people actually talk.
Yes.
I mean, that they talk over each other, which is a really hard thing to write and direct. So always impressive when someone pulls that off.
And that movie starred Julie Christie, who appeared in here as herself.
Yes, that's right.
Oh yeah.
Which was
Shout out to my girl Julie, another JC, Julie Christie.
True that.
Hell yeah.
I just like that she had like one line, but most of her scene is everyone talking about her from that scene. Like, oh yeah, she was married to that one. She won an Oscar. Like, she's talking about Julie Christie was here. As these same people are always annoyed throughout the whole movie that, like, people, like, treat them as celebrities. They treat Julie Christie who's been there for 5 seconds as the same thing.
I think, Pedro, I think I struggled with that a little bit, this movie too. I think where I, like, sort of settled in is, like, this is very much like the Game of Thrones of country movies. There's, like, 40 characters, everybody has their own agenda, and, like, there's different factions, and really the people you follow are the people you're invested in. And, like, I know I definitely, like, you find your people who you're like, I want to see what happens next. Like, I was, like, very invested in Barbara Jean. I was like, what's happening with her? Okay. I really liked what she sang. And I was like, there's Khaleesi, Barbara Jean. And that's how I'm getting through this movie. And Lily Tomlin. Like, I was super into whenever Lily Tomlin was on screen. And then there were other parts where I was sort of like, I'm tired. I'm like, I could, like, feel that I was, like, bored or more bored. And I think that I don't know. I don't even know if I'd say that's, like, a weakness of the movie, because I think maybe that's the point of the movie, is that it truly is, like, the most sliciest of slice of life. Although it doesn't feel like a slice, it feels like a whole sandwich, or like a large chunk.
Yeah, I feel like there's just so much going on. I felt similarly. I mean, it's a long ass movie.
And it feels long.
This is no. I will say, like, Dr. Zhivago, 3.5 hours feels shorter than this movie.
Yes.
Which, like, I was much happier when I broke it up into 3 different pieces, and that was definitely, like, the right thing to do for me, because it's not like there really is no narrative momentum, and I would challenge somebody to disagree with me there.
No, I'm not ahead. Like, I know It's great.
Yeah, you're a monster.
I can't imagine sitting in a movie theater and watching this.
I would totally see this in theaters.
Well, and I guess my feeling is like, as television and film diversify now, and we have so many different medium to tell stories in, I don't think people are making 3-hour slice of life movies as much anymore, because honestly, like, it may be that, frankly, there are better formats. That it's a very, the kind, I watched this 3, like, about a little under an hour, segments, and that was great. I think, though, honestly, what kept me engaged is how politically relevant it felt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
I read, like, a bunch of reviews. There's a really famous review that was behind a paywall on the New Yorker, but that all of the other reviews kept mentioning. So, like, Ebert did a review in 2000, and
Ebert has one of his greatest films. Like,
but there's a review by her name is, I think it's Rebecca Kale.
Pauline Kael.
Pauline Kael from the New Yorker, that she reviewed it like ahead of time before it was released, and basically said, like, for Altman, who like was not like, I mean, it was an anticipated movie, but it's not like it was going to be a blockbuster, and basically like put this review in the New Yorker being like, this is the best movie ever made. So everyone should go see it because it's the best movie ever made. And I really wanted to read that review because I read like so many quotes from it, and it's like so well written. But I think like a lot of the reviews were focused on the sort of like this. It all takes place on this political backdrop, despite the story being like pretty staunchly not political. And the political backdrop it takes place on is just so. I mean, it's a part of U.S. history that's very much history repeating itself. Like the scene at the Grand Ole Opry was filmed on the day that Nixon resigned.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, like I mean, like it is like it is so of its moment in the best possible way, and it's such like a deep and interesting look at where political consciousness is in the South then, after the Kennedy assassination, like with distrust at government at a high and no one knowing where to turn, and the rise of a dude who blares out of his speakers that he's gonna ban all lawyers and tax the churches and fix everything, but you never see him. And no one talks about politics because no one wants to, but no one is doing well. Like no one is quite happy, and everybody is shaken by like the world. Like the world is always on the edge of the story. Like I mean, there are a lot of Kennedy assassination references,
especially the end.
Well, the end is obviously. I mean, this isn't Dallas. Is what?
Yeah.
But like it's. Oh
this
yeah,
isn't Dallas. Keep singing.
Yeah, and like I've talked to like my mother and like other people of her generation, which is like something that like I'm very aware that like I've experienced some pretty crappy things as a millennial living in America. Assassination of major political figures isn't one of them, and like that's sort of like the amount of anxiety that's like wrapped up, and like the fragility of the whole project. I don't know, it's really hard because there's so little that's actually political about this, but the whole time I was just like, oh my god, this is a movie about Donald Trump. Like I was just like, I like in the best possible way. I was like, this is getting like intrinsically in terms of its mood at like this part of America, and like the way it reacts to somebody like Donald Trump or somebody like the early Republican Party members who eventually lead to Nixon, who blame stuff out of because like basically what this is the transition. This is when the Republican Party becomes the Republican Party, right? This is the Southern strategy. That guy is a Republican in a state that has always voted for Democrats, and the Southern Democrats are dying out as civil rights becomes a big part of the Democratic platform, and they're being replaced by anti-government Republicans as we move from Nixon forward, and we'll eventually hit Reagan. So like we're like at the beginning of the American South as it is now, and I had a lot of thoughts.
Which is, it kind of ties into like the major things that kind of hit me for this movie, which is like I really can't think of a better movie about the idea of the American dream. And about the idea of kind of looking at America as this metaphor to kind of go towards fame and power, and just how similar they are within entertainment and politics. And so much of kind of creating their success in that is to kind of paint a picture of America that's not necessarily real.
Yeah.
And like so much of the political messages and so much of the songs is kind of depicting something that isn't necessarily what you're seeing in this film. Like this film is just so, I mean, obviously I can't say super realistic because there's so much, natural humor and things in a plot.
Well, let's not overstate things.
But like, things ultimately connect and end at the same time. But like, I'm just saying, like, it's a Weissman fly on the wall kind of thing. It is a story being told very realistically, but like, it is the songs they're singing. I don't think it's necessarily. I do think there's a lot of cynicism in the movie, but it's not overly cynical. But
I mean, the very first song is "We're doing something right" because we've been around for 200 years.
That is like such amazing. It's such a. Oh God! It really gave me chills, especially given just like where the world's at right now. I mean, like
I kind of hated the song. I'm not gonna lie.
No, it's a terrible song.
No, but you should because
it's basically like we're recording this. Hopefully, by the time this airs, this will not be true. But we're recording this in the middle of a government shutdown. Like America is literally not.
Oh no, it's worse than that. In 30 minutes, we may have a constitutional crisis of a president declaring a national emergency that's not real. So
we'll find out.
I won't keep Twitter open for the next 30 minutes for us.
Don't worry. Maybe on the next episode we'll review what happens in 30 minutes because it will be open in Pedro's web browser.
I went through a purge recently.
That's not going to be next week, JC. That's going to be like in like 2 months.
Oh shit!
Wait, Pedro, you did purge your tabs?
Did you Marie Kondo your tabs? Did you touch each one and ask, "Does this give me joy?" And then decide to
I did look at their headlines and ask myself if they could be joy.
You know what? No, let's spend 60 seconds on that show. That is one of the worst edited shows. I hated that first episode so much. It was trying to beat Queer Eye so desperately,
and it's really not.
And it's painfully bad. Everyone's focusing on Marie Kondo, like, oh, she hates books.
She hates books. That's a problem.
I hate how the show is super lazy edited and doesn't want to focus on its main Japanese speaking
Also,
character.
the first episode, like, their marriage is so uncomfortable to watch. Like, yeah, it's kind of a bummer.
Just think about, I was going to say, the thing that I think you both are speaking to quite a bit, and I think was really interesting for me in watching this movie, I feel like in terms of, like, watching a movie about America, like, this felt like very, I don't know, like, important isn't the right word, but it just felt like evidential. Like, I think, especially when we're thinking about, like, the things that we're working through now and the things that we are living through and surviving now. And I think it has this sort of, this antidote to this idea that, like, the problems that we're going through right now with the rise of fascism and white supremacy, these are things that are somehow new ideas. Yeah. And I think what I like best about this movie is that here is the evidence that this is in our bones. Like, just like this need to, like, rush towards power and fame, that these ideas and this, like, these things have always been under the surface. We've always been grappling with them. White America has always had its roots in this sort of thinking and in this, like, this thing. And I think that's what I really liked about it was, like, like, we have had many warning signs of this, like, over the years. And when I watched this, I was like, here is the novel that you're going to read about what this was. Like, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and it's also, like, the movie depicts this, like, the kind of, like, burying your head in the sand kind of, like, existence that, like, we're so connected to as Americans of, like, why can't the news ever be positive? Like, why is it that all the singers are always angry? Like, why can't they smile when they sing? And, like, the thing, like, everybody who performs in this, like, before they do, I'm a singer, so I'm very, like, I always watch people sing, and, like, singing with a smile on your face is actually, like, well, it's really hard.
It's hard.
Well, it's hard because you shouldn't do it. It compresses your larynx. So, like, you can't form, like, tones the way you should. And it's funny because I'm looking and like some of these people are good singers and some of them are not. Everyone is suffering from this because it's like everybody has to keep this sort of like vague smile on their face.
That kind of makes it better.
No, it's exactly. That's what I mean. It's this feeling of like, and like that's what this whole world, and I mean like the ending where it's everybody keeps singing and smiling even though someone just got shot. Like, it is, like, because, like, that's what everybody in the audience is craving, is just, like, I just want this to be nice.
And there's something so, I think, wonderfully depicted of capitalistic about that. I'm just like,
oh, totally.
I'm smiling with the song because it's supposed to make you connect, but the fact that the movie kind of brilliantly watches the same performers sing the songs again, it isn't like a reprise in a musical, or it means different context. You're just watching a professional singer sing the emotional song of care people several different times.
And like, they're people who are miserable and have their lives, you know, have complicated things going on in their lives.
The faces of the audiences are also just like, they're so empty and blank, and they're not engaged.
With the exception of, maybe my favorite scene in the movie, of the Oscar-winning song, I'm Easy.
Oh, that's a good song.
That's the one that won?
Yeah, that one.
Oh my god.
It's so good because so many different women in the audience think the song's about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what... Okay.
And it's about
that
we just made a cynical
that he had slept with that was watching him sing that song.
No, absolutely it is.
Oh, but they thought
the song's about
him.
Because he begins like, this song's someone special in the audience who might be here tonight.
Right.
And so you keep watching all of them going like, this song's written about me. And it's just like, you saw him like practicing the song earlier, like, he just made a hit. Like, he doesn't care. It's not personal to him at all.
That was one thing that I...
being weirdly honest and singing about himself. Wow.
I think that he has also one of the funniest lines of when, like, I think, like, a bellman comes in and talks to him. He just hands Bellman a guitar saying, hey, make a hit.
Make a hit.
But anyway, JC, you were saying something.
Oh, no. I was going to say that was something that I definitely was like, I want to talk and see how other people felt about this. There's something that I struggled with a little bit during the movie, is that I felt like the movie had, like, 3 to 4 too many, like, female bimbo archetypes.
Mm-hmm.
That really bothered me. Because, like, what I like about the movie is that there's no, like, hero. Like, there's no one that I'm like, fuck yeah, go. And I like that. And I like that people are complicated and struggling. But there was, like, one woman, I don't even know, like, maybe, like, Lily Tomlin, and maybe the woman who's in the trio, who seemed to have, like, something to do that wasn't, like, being, like, exploited, or, like, almost hit by a car, or walking around half naked and being like, hi. Like, it bothered me, and it felt lazy. In this movie that's so intense and has so many little details, it felt lazy to have this many women be like, oh, I'm a terrible singer, I'm going to take off all my clothes, or like that whole, like, there was just too many parts like that where I was like, this just feels like, it just felt lazy.
I think, like, it's a movie that's trying to make a point about women, but but it's not doing it, it's doing it by treating the women in the movie as archetypes a little bit more than it does characters. Lily Tomlin probably being the big exception. I think she gets the, like, full, interesting, complicated storyline. But
in a role unlike anything I've ever seen Lily Tomlin in.
Seriously.
She is not funny. Like, she's really good. She's not, like...
I did not recognize her for a while. Like, for a while. And then I was like, oh, crap, that's Lily Tomlin. Like,
she's so good, and she's in a couple Altman films, and she's just, like, fits so well into that, like, here's the script, memorize it, throw it out.
Yeah.
Kind of style of Altman.
I love Lily Tomlin.
But yeah, I think it's just, like...
Lily.
It's just I felt a little bit... I definitely picked up on the same thing, JC, of, like, he's making so many different points, he forgets to make that one. Like, he's making your point about women, and he forgets to, like, provide the same background and characterization to particularly, like, Winifred, the woman who's coming from California. The, like, woman...
homeless one.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, like, which is like, her arc is such like a story. Like, it's like a story about the way that women are treated in America. Mm-hmm. It's even better when you can tell that story and feel like you're telling it about a fully rounded character. So, like, I'm not saying it's like a
This is the one, I'm so bad at character names. This is the one who can't sing and then
and she gets her big break when the guy gets shot.
She can sing. She's never...
Well,
because at the end.
Wait, no, we're talking about two different women. Like,
sorry. Okay.
There's Sue Lee, who is the woman who can't sing, who goes to the political fundraiser and has to take off clothes. And then there's Winifred, who is running. No. I think this perfectly illustrates the point of what we're talking about. And then there's Winifred, who is running around the whole movie, like being thrown out of places and wearing nothing and trying desperately just to have her shot. And then at the very end, when Barbara she gets to pick up the microphone and sing. I think that this is totally like what is the point? You know what I mean? Like, I think it's very telling that we just like mash those two people together because they're not characters. They're just like little pieces of things.
I really liked. I'm bad at all character names. This is just
you're a monster.
Across the board, I never learned any character names. Like a year after watching the show.
You're such a monster.
But the woman who can't sing, because for a while it's treated as a joke of like,
that's her name. Sue
Lee.
Sue Lee.
I mean, and she like goes there and she's bad. But like, I like the idea that like she really thought she was rising the ranks, and there is just this horrible, cynical infrastructure of letting her think she's more successful, but it's just because the men higher up would just want to sleep with her.
No, maybe eventually, but it all started because one guy was a dick and wanted to both belittle her and play a joke on his friends by sending her off to a competition.
Oh, right, but
that's the entire thing that kicked it off. And then they all saw her come in and were like, well, let's keep this train going, I guess. It was, but...
The two lines that really kind of broke my heart at the end of her story, which is kind of the beginning and ending of her like recognizing what's going on, and she's just stripped because all anyone ever cared about for her, is that like line that she has before like going out there of like, I'm never going to be like Barbara, am I? And then like later on when she's like out in the alleyway with one of the African American singers, and he just says like, I kept meaning to tell you, you can't sing.
Yeah.
And like just no, I can't. Like no, you can't sing. I should have told you earlier, you can't sing. And it's like just. It was so, like, to me, the last 40 minutes like just all perfect scenes that just like kept breaking my heart over and over again.
And like, I guess my feeling is like, and it's good you brought it up, JC, because I don't think I would have articulated it quite like as clearly, but I know what you're saying. Like, I guess so. I just saw it's like fundamentally he's saying something about fame and about fame for women, and what he's saying is good. Like, it's good stuff.
Yeah,
but. Another movie I saw recently is A Star is Born with Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper, which is a friggin' phenomenal movie. It is also a movie about a lot of things, one of them being fame for women. But unlike this one, you're telling that story with the backdrop of a fully formed, like, character whose motivations and humanity you like totally understand.
That's fair. Yeah.
And like, given that it's I would forgive this in an hour and a half long movie, but if it's gonna be 240, it can be 3, and you can give your women a little bit more.
Right. You can cut out 15 fucking minutes of the musical content, which I really liked. I didn't mind that there was an hour of music in this, but let's be real. Oh my god, my cat is literally breaking into my room. If you hear a scuffle and a lot of meowing, I've been killed.
Cool.
I still have another Opal scene if we talk about women.
Opal's so good.
The scene where she's trying to brag and they're all messing with her about like how she slept with the guy. Like, oh yeah, I know him biblically. So you guys went to church together? No. Like they all know what she means, but she's a bad journalist. Probably isn't a journalist.
I think Pedro might be right. Like I'm not sure that she's from the BBC.
I think she's trying to get their break.
I think she might just be a crazy person.
She fits perfectly into the like. Star is Born. Everyone's coming to Nashville to be a star.
Right.
I mean, that would make sense of the BBC too. Let's send this lady in the middle of bumfuck America, Nashville. That works.
But it's just like
do something there, right?
This movie puts a lens and kind of just so powerfully says, this is America, and she's alone in a car park going, "This is a metaphor, right?" And talking to anybody in the film, really.
Into her empty tape recorder.
annoying Elliot Gould at a party.
Yeah. Can I just say, we, in a weird circle in this podcast, we have talked about Lily Tomlin's first role and Lily Tomlin's most recent role in a film.
True.
Her first role is this movie, and her most recent role is the voice of Aunt May in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
What? You're totally right.
I forgot she's in Spider-Verse. She's great.
I was thinking, I was like, she's not a Star Sport.
She's better not be in Venom.
Yeah, for real. On the mighty
Michelle Williams was in Venom. So.
If you want.
No.
I mean, they already grabbed Michelle Williams. That's mean enough,
sad.
Right? And Riz Ahmed, right? He's in that?
It's very sad.
Riz Ahmed from...
is so
well,
cute.
let's not get mad at people for what they're in. I mean, Mahershala Ali's in the Green Book, so, you know.
God.
Green Book just got nominated for Director's Guild Award. Today on recording.
Bummer.
I'm so disappointed in Viggo Mortensen.
I am too. He's been
I've
such
carried
a
a
bummer.
torch for him since I was in like the 6th fucking grade. And now I'm almost 30 and he's finally disappointed me.
Sucks.
And I'm not
But
happy
he has
about
responded. He is like, just like,
What's he done wrong?
The family, okay, pause, random, but this is crappy. I was reading about it today. So the family of the guy depicted in the Green Book, who are still alive, because he didn't die that long ago, he's a musician, were like, hey, like, they never consulted any of the living family members of this guy before they made, an award-winning movie turning him into a magical Negro with a white friend who saves, like, who, like, teaches him to, like, love music again, which is like, it's like, the Green Book is like, Dragon Miss Daisy problem. Yeah, it's a mess. And so Mahershala Ali responded correctly, which, like, he was like, he called them personally, and, like, they did a press release later, and they were like, he put out a statement, he was like, when I was putting together this character, I had no idea there were living relatives, I was not told, like, I am so sorry for any offense it caused, like, I hope, like, we were able to communicate something that was valuable, but I totally understand, like, this is a really big betrayal, and, like, sort of, I hope you're okay.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really great statement. Viggo Mortensen said, well, like, there's evidence that these people aren't that closely related to him anyway, and there's other things going on. Like, Viggo Mortensen did bad. He did real bad. It was like, you whiffed that one hardcore.
Yeah. It is in general, like, it is like The Blind Side, like,
yeah.
It's like one of those movies where it's like, it's about people of color teaching white people about racism and empathy, and it's real bad. And
also,
it
like The Blind Side.
Be there.
Like The Blind Side, it will definitely be up for Best Picture.
It's so frustrating.
Yeah,
and like, Viggo Mortensen has been asked about the racial elements of the movie, because we've progressed as a society, and it's not the year The Blind Side came out anymore. It's like, ask complicated questions about race in the movie, and, like, he is just whiffing hardcore every time. Like, he is so not aware.
He was so good
It's a total bummer.
Captain Fantastic recently.
I know. It's like, it's just a total bummer.
He's going to lead
Eastern Promises. God,
Eastern
he's
Promises
so good in that movie.
History of Violence.
Yeah.
It's so sad, and today we have to cancel Viggo Mortensen.
Yeah.
It is with great fucking... I can't talk about this.
Let's all pour one
I'm
out
getting
for
choked
Hidalgo, which we can never watch now.
I've watched that movie at least twice.
That is insane.
I did.
I saw it
At
once.
least twice. 2, maybe 3 times.
It's also not a good movie. And it is not a good movie to talk about, like, relationships between white people and people of color.
And
so
horses.
maybe we should have predicted this. Oh, it's so bad, Viggo Mortensen. I'm sorry. Should we finish talking about Nashville?
We should have a final thought on Nashville. I'm trying to think of what else we haven't said yet.
What did we think about the end? I was very, like, the minute that dude started scrambling around in his violin case, I was like, oh, he's going to shoot her.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's going to happen. And then I remembered how he yelled at Shelley Duvall for touching his violin case, and then he shot her. And I was just intrigued, and I don't know quite 100% how I felt about that ending, but I was wondering if anybody else had strong reactions to it.
Darren told me there was going to be a twist. He's like, oh, I know the twist now. So the whole time I was looking for it. So clearly,
funny.
when he comes out and he's all shady, I'm like, this guy's going to shoot someone, isn't he? But I was thinking kind of
This is America. This is
it.
America.
Oh, no, I actually kept having the the Gambino song like playing in my
really?
head. Even though this is not really at all about race.
It's a different thing.
But it is like screaming.
Well, sort of about race.
It's screaming at the camera, this is America.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like, for me, when I was, like, I watched the first time, and I caught what This Isn't Dallas meant the first time around, but then, like, when I was reading through, like, reviews and stuff, like, that, like, at the time the movie was made, that is, like, I don't even know what the modern equivalent would be, like, maybe a terrorist attack, like, of a sort of, like, clarion of, like, and now, like, the real world comes to bear on these people, like that, like because it echoes this like horrible communal trauma that everybody had experienced 6 years before, and so like that I just thought was, I think the ending is great. I think it's so good.
It's just stunning me because like even though like I would never ever call this a twist movie.
That's not the right word.
But you were saying it does have a tonal shift. It's got a shift movie, a twist movie. It's up on the ankles. I like just because like I remember when I first watched it, the crowd just feels different because we're often like so rarely like in the crowd for these kind of concert scenes. We're just kind of always like watching the side or kind of like a part of it. It just always feels like a different type of performance. It was so still for so long that you just kind of felt uncomfortable, and just having that political backdrop, like the tone felt dangerous during those scenes before things were like really shifty, and just the response on stage about it, the whole this isn't Dallas, this is Nashville, keep singing, is like so powerful to me. Like truly, the last 40 minutes to me are just like all these scenes are incredible. I love the ending, and
I was sad. Barbara Jean was my girl. Because she was my favorite musical performer.
Because then the world is still okay, and everyone is smiling.
It's still what they're depicting in these songs. This is
that just wouldn't happen.
It's so good though, because they're all waiting.
Well, they don't, but like he wants them to.
They're all waiting for a Trump rally, right? Like I don't know, like it's so there's. Like, I was thinking, the other thing that came to mind is, I don't know if you guys saw during Trump's campaign, the, like, weird little kid dancers.
Yeah.
Who were dancing about how Donald
Korean
Trump
style.
was great.
Yeah.
It was very, like, they did this, like, very militaristic sort of, like, I mean, they were doing, like, drumline kinds of, like flag stuff. And, like, they're, like, cute, like, I'm not gonna fault the little kids, they're, like, 11, but, like, it was, like, it's like a deeply weird routine, but it has that element of like, and they were like the warm up, and they're singing about how like America is great and God loves America. That's the warm up to a Trump rally, and like, oh, that's like,
you know the punchline, right?
Well, he never paid them.
The campaign refused to pay them.
Yeah, they refused to pay them. Now they're suing the campaign.
That's fun.
Because Donald Trump doesn't pay anyone who works for him.
Like federal employees. Last thing I want.
I was gonna say I like the slow sort of turn in the way like the messaging of the person in the van. It kind of got more and more sinister, or like at the beginning it's sort of funny, and then it just like the droning just never stops.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really nice build towards like the end where I think it's just like, oh yeah, this is very real.
I thought he was.
And I liked that a lot. No, you never see him. You never see him. So
which I kind of love, actually.
So. Yeah, I did too.
Oh god, this movie is so annoyingly relevant. Like, I don't want this movie to be as relevant as it is.
We don't always talk about the Oscars in this show, but I want to bring it up this year because this is kind of like maybe the best slate ever for Best Picture winners.
What are you talking about? We definitely always talk about the Oscars in this show.
I was going to read out nominees.
Oh, okay.
Be more blatant this time. But this is 1975's picks.
Oh, yeah.
We have here, the 5 nominees are, the winner is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Sure.
Barry Lyndon, Dog Day Afternoon, Jaws, and Nashville.
What a weird and wonderful list. I've only seen 3 of them.
That's good.
But Jaws, Nashville, and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest are like 3 of the most different, excellent movies I could possibly imagine.
Have we watched Jaws on this show yet?
We have not.
Yet. Oh, it's so good.
So excited.
We've done, for Spielberg, we did Jurassic Park was on the list. Last Crusade was a bonus pick for Pedro's. And I believe that's it for Spielberg.
So far.
But this is also famous because Spielberg was snubbed for Best Director Like major snubbed, but so
he wasn't nominated.
No,
he wasn't nominated.
Yeah,
for Jaws.
Yeah,
that's so Academy.
I listened to a podcast about this. Yeah, he wasn't nominated.
But the it's kind of funny because so this was the year that Cuckoo's Nest sweeped the Oscar 5, which only 3 films have done of picture, director, actor, actress, screenplay.
Mm-hmm. Did it win supporting actor too for?
No,
it didn't.
So Milos Forman won for Cuckoo's Nest. Everyone else was nominated. So Kubrick for Barry Lyndon, Sidney Lumet for Dog Day Afternoon, Robert Altman for Nashville. But the one to replace Spielberg for Jaws, Federico Fellini for M. Record.
Oh, okay. So
another one of the greatest directors of all time.
Hey, that's a good year.
I mean, it's still a major Spielberg snub.
But it was his first breakout. He's been bad.
It's very.
Oh yeah, he's doing fine, but
he's okay.
But he was.
Nobody here feels bad for Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
Pedro,
I don't.
Pedro, don't feel bad for him.
I don't. You know what? I'm okay. I'm okay with this.
Are you?
I feel more bad for Jaws and the soul of the film than I do for Spielberg itself.
Wow.
But Lily Tomlin was nominated for Nashville. Ronnie Blakely was nominated for Nashville as Barbara Jean.
And I guess it won...
Only one song.
Right, because One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest
swept.
And let's be clear, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, I mean, in my opinion, just... I haven't seen it. Oh, really?
I haven't seen it either.
Not yet.
I love it when I'm not the only person who hasn't seen something.
Oh, guys.
Ooh, thanks, JC.
Oh, man. It's a good one.
Wait, who all seen Dog Day Afternoon?
I have not.
I have not.
No.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is like...
Guys.
No, I'm not. No, I wasn't saying guys like I was mad at you. I was saying, guys, what a wonderful thing you have ahead of you. I was like,
actually have the same reaction.
So good.
Who's all seen Barry Lyndon?
I have been meaning to watch Barry Lyndon, but I have not seen it.
No, I have not seen it. I haven't seen most movies. We can
I've
just
only seen the two,
this.
Nashville, because of yesterday.
Let me put it this way. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is like I said, if Jaws, Nashville, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, generally, seriously, 3 of the most different movies I can possibly imagine. Because One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is a very linear, story-driven drama full of these, amazing, iconic performances. It's everything that Nashville is not in a diss on Nashville or a diss on One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. They're just, I honestly, as, an Academy member, trying to choose between the two of them would just be oh, cool, so I'm comparing, I don't know, a dog collar to, a microphone. They're just, so different.
And that's why you pick Jaws.
And that's also an option.
JC, what do you give it?
I think I give it a 4.75.
4.8? No, 4.9.
Damn.
I'm gonna give it a 4.6 because of just it's me and it's about what I like and my enjoyment level going through. It just didn't keep me I fell asleep at one point. Not in a
you do watch it at 5 a.m. though.
Well, I watch everything at 5 a.m. But it's it was not my preferred pacing for a movie. Let me put it that way. But because of that, it's a 4.6. It's great.
When Pedro whispered, "I fell asleep too," he put his hand to block away from the microphone.
Which is really
so
ridiculous.
thank God that wall next to you did not hear what you said.
For sure.
All right, Pedro, what's your hand trading?
To be fair, you guys did inflate me a little bit. It was going to be a 3.9. I think now it's gone up to a 4.3. 4.3 is
nice.
Not that it needs my help. This film it's up there now.
Yeah, he's doing well. But
top 10?
No. Well, maybe.
No, nowhere.
Check out,
I messed it up there.
Check out theartamora.com to see all the average henge ratings. Check out the hyperlink at the Immortals part of the page.
It can't be one of our best movies. It's not about genocide.
Yeah, we got to work on that, guys.
Mm-hmm.
We have to actively work on this.
Rocky is next time, so who knows what could happen.
Spoiler, JC.
JC, did we ever end up
Also
getting
not gonna
something?
happen.
Do we ever end up getting something that beat out? Are our top 2 still The Act of Killing and Downfall?
I think we did.
I want to say we did.
It wasn't The Wizard of Oz.
Downfall is such a wild movie.
Downfall is that's one of the best movies I've ever seen in my entire life. As is The Act of Killing.
All right, now it is time for the album segment. Ooh, it's our episode of music. Sarah, what did we hear this week?
It's just so
Make
weird.
Make her say it again. Make her say the title again.
After Nashville, like, this is just, like, I can't. We listened to Locust Abortion Technician by the Butthole Surfers.
Daddy?
Yes, son?
What does regret mean?
Well, son, a funny thing about regret is that it's better to regret something you have done than to regret something you haven't done. And by the way, if you see your mom this weekend, would you be sure and tell her, Satan! Satan! Satan!
So can that just be the review? Just like that
so
noise?
I don't have much more to say.
You know, usually I would start with like a non-partisan sort of like explanation about who these people are. But I'm going to start with this. The Butthole Surfers are a band from the 80s that thinks that art exists when you use controversial words and joke about bodily functions. They made this album, and
What's it called?
It's called Locust Abortion Technician, which, hey, those are 3 words that are, like, you know, gross when you say them together, and you think, like, oh, man, what does that even mean? And the answer is, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. And they are not making a bigger point, and it doesn't mean anything. Same
also,
with Butthole Surfers.
There's no such thing as an abortion technician.
Yeah, none of
you have a
this makes any
clinician or a nurse practitioner or a doctor. Just saying.
Is the locust the technician, or is the locust getting
No,
the abortion?
here's the thing. They don't care. Like, they are just saying words. So, Butthole Surfers is a band. You can't see my air quotes.
We felt them.
But you felt them.
I did.
It's like some, like, bullshit alt-rock piece of crap from the 80s. And they still exist. Their name is Butthole Surfers because they used to be, like, every time they performed, they made up a different, like, stupid, provocative name for themselves. And then they decided to stick with Butthole Surfers. This is their most popular album. The reason that they're famous is because they had crazy, like, exhibitionist performance art live shows who were really famous in the 80s, like, that were sexual and violent and, like, and absurd, and, like, he's the Gibby, last name I don't remember, Gibby Haynes, who's the main singer, like, he used to come out, like, covered in clothespins, like, it was very, like, experimental, sort of experiential stuff, but then they got lazy and stopped doing that, which I think is really funny. Like, at the end of the 80s, they're like, nah, bro, we're just gonna settle into a routine and do all of the same, like, surprising things, quote unquote, at the same times in every show, because that's easier, and everyone was like, bummer. The only reason they're interesting is because they, you know, Gibby Haynes did some cool is not the right word. He did some early stuff involving sound mixing and, like, running, like, you know, basically doing some, like, interesting early electronic synthesizer stuff, like, basically, like, the stupid song that was the only even sort of good song, starts with a K, look at it.
It wasn't Human Cannibal?
No, Cunts.
Cannibals?
Cunts is the song. The song is called Cunts, my friends. Kuntz. Because see, if you just
so
spelled
glad I
it,
don't bleep the show.
because, like, okay, because
That's
then
2 letters.
because
That
then
makes
it's
it okay.
because then it's cheeky. God, I hate these people. Anyway, I hate them. I hate everything they stand for. I hate them. But that song is, like, basically, like, he had, like, an electronic method of like dealing with sound and, like, output in cool ways, and sort of distorting sound, and he ran like some Eastern Indian, like, you know, melodies through that to start the song, which is the only song that is even sort of interesting to me, because the rest of it is just, it's literally them just saying fart. Like, it's literally them thinking it's fun to say provocative words. It is not music. It is the worst thing, and I hate it so much. The end.
The nice thing I'll say is I don't think Sweet Loaf is completely terrible.
So Sweet Loaf is a reference, too, because Sweet Loaf is there's a much more famous song called, I think, Sweet Love. It's not called Sweet Love. It's Sweet Loaf is their most famous song from this album.
Is it?
It's also mostly album.
Loaf?
No.
Damn.
I feel crazy. Sorry.
Well, I will say about why I looked that up is that I'm not surprised that they were like really focused on like the power of sound mixing, because I realized I was listening to this on headphones. I just had this on my PS4 while listening to the whole album, and there were 2 tracks. I realized halfway the track that I was grinding my teeth.
Oh
like,
yeah!
I felt so like uncomfortable listening to the music, and that's like clearly their intention was to kind of create this like atmosphere. And I just like didn't realize how anxious I was getting listening to this.
You know what? I worked my ass off while this album was on. I listened to it at work twice. I thought, you know what?
Because you were afraid for your life, is what it sounds like.
because I got to the end of it, and at the end of the album is the next segment, David Bowie song. And I'm like, oh, that means I finished the album. The fuck just happened? All right, let's go through it one more time. Maybe I'll catch whatever it was. But like every like 5 minutes, not even, I would think, wow, this is annoying. I should just put David Bowie on loop now.
Yes.
But
Whole
after
surfers.
getting through like 10 seconds or whatever, like, you know, just thinking about something for 10 actual seconds is a decent amount of time. After that, and after like working for a little bit, I was just a madman going after it. And I think I was grinding my teeth too.
Mm-hmm.
I had like,
I know the exact ones. It was
10 shots of espresso at that point.
I mean, so like they recorded this this is the first album they recorded in their home studio, which they like became where they recorded. So they didn't have to like use it commercially. They could just like be themselves and like live in their space and take lots of breaks to do a lot of cocaine. So
cocaine was their choice.
Well, I don't actually know that.
It kinda sounds
Definitely
like it.
one of their choices. I don't really think that like I will admit that that's an extrapolation on my part rather than something for sure true.
I mean, I think this album was like a light cocaine.
Yeah, that seems right.
Well, just
How many
henges
henges is a light cocaine, Pedro?
Oh god.
How many henges for light cocaine? What?
That's what my question was. How many henges for light cocaine?
I mean, light cocaine probably gets like 5 henges. It's cocaine.
I'm
Edit all this shit out.
I'm just so grossed out by a band that it is such a like shallow view of how to make provocative music, and it makes me mad because they really like. There are a lot of other bands in the 80s who are also doing interesting things with sound processing. Like, it is not just them. I don't know why they're around. I understand that their live shows were an important part of alt-rock 80s culture, but this is an album, and it's not a live show, and it sucks, and I hate it.
I was really bummed out because I loved the first 30 seconds, sort of. Ugh. It just opens with a kid asking his dad what regret was, and the whole words part were stupid. But I actually really liked the music that was playing in the background, and I was like, there's some pretty cool stuff here. Oh, wow, I think I'm really going to like this music. And then they do their clashy interruption stop of this weird, almost orchestral synthesizer-y, like, mystic kind of music, and start into whatever the fuck noise bullshit this is. And that just made me sad and kind of angry, which was also a feeling I had throughout the entire album listening experience. I mean, it elicited an emotional response.
But weirdly, it was a physical response. Like, I don't actively like. Usually, I hate an album more if I find its like lyrics to be like embarrassingly bad. This was something just unpleasant. Don't like actively hate it. I just found myself like getting like.
See,
the song "Hey" and the USAA, like I realized, I just found myself like, I don't grind my teeth, and like that,
and I'm doing
firmly
this,
shut right now. So that was weird.
I will say that the only like in all my, I honestly like, I listened to this album and then I like went on the internet and I was like, why? Like, why does anyone think these people are important or good? Because I didn't understand. I will say that, Gibby Haynes, who wrote, an autobiography about the band and like now has like participated in a couple of like retrospectives about the 80s. His autobiography is called Let's Go to Hell, and the subtitle is I regret not regretting a fucking thing, which is a great concept that I feel is kind of like a great little encapsulation of rock star life. So I will give him, you know, maybe 0.1 extra on this fucking bullshit for, you know, being actually good with words once.
See, I didn't even know the words were that shitty because I don't listen to lyrics. So all I heard was just shit noise through my ear holes.
How is that? Oh god,
non-stop. The only time I heard a lyric, and I was like, you know what? Do I like this? Maybe I do. I should check out the name. It's Human Cannonball, because I thought he was saying Human Cannibal. And I was like, maybe I like this song. And then I was kind of sad. But then I also sort of blacked out to the music, as happened over and over again.
This segment has to end.
Yeah, we're done now.
I'm so glad that this is the album I noped out on and just didn't have time to listen to.
Sucked. 2.
2.3.
Why? Why?
Wow.
I figured
this with like 0.8. Like, this is really just...
No, I didn't like...
No, actually, you know what? You're right, Pedro. I'm gonna adjust downward. I hated this album. I'm gonna give it a 1.7. I will give it that only because of Butthole Surfers' place in music history, so maybe if you give a shit, you can listen to this if you want to, but you won't enjoy it.
I think, to me, the ones that get that low are things that'll just, like, live in my hatred for a long time, and I guarantee I'll forget most of this album between now recording and me editing this podcast.
Oh, that's fair. There's nothing of value on it.
I do want to give it, like, a 1. No, 0.9. 0.99. It gets below
0.99, honey.
0.99. It's not a 1.
It's not that hard. You can just... Math is good. Math is easy on Google Sheets.
Last episode, Pedro said, wait a few seconds, like 5 seconds after I do my review. That is definitely going to be it. That was a whole, like, 30 more seconds.
Well, next time, just wait till the end of the show and take all my henges. 0.99.
That was Locust, Abortion Technician by Butthole Surfers.
I'm glad I've heard them now, though, because I've heard of the Butthole Surfers forever. I'm like, who are these guys? It kind of pisses me off that their name is as shitty as...
Is that a pun?
What they sound. Oh God, it didn't mean to be.
God
damn it.
I'm dead. Bye.
All right. Home stretch, guys. We got this. These are 2 more pleasant things.
That's true.
Starting with the song segment, which is...
Let's Dance by David Bowie. It's a weird feeling to transition to this now.
It's so good.
It is really good. So yes, it's the song's Let's Dance by Bowie. Came out in 83, I believe. I've got it here somewhere. It is 83 on album of the same name.
Mm-hmm.
It is a fantastic, jumpy song.
That's very famous and wonderful.
Very, very famous. I was like, oh, this is his song, and this is. There were lots of like, okay, cool, because I never listened to that much Bowie when I was growing up. But I loved it because, of course, why not? This was like around the height of his popularity, I suppose, musically. But he's been in a bunch of shit. Last time we saw Bowie was when?
Well, we saw a movie of his.
Was that the last time we saw it?
Super early in the podcast.
I feel like we've done an album or something.
Which was the Man Who Fell to Earth.
Yeah,
which is
the thing is, we did that the week
weird
he died.
ass movie.
And this
you're right.
This is recorded the day of his birthday.
Yeah, exactly. So
cool.
I'm curious if there was something in between the week that he died and his now 2 years later birthday we did about him. Because if not, that's interesting. That's cool, I think.
Can I have a controversial yet brave opinion?
Yes.
Sure.
Wait, you can't call yourself brave.
Well,
we have to call you
apparently
brave.
they did. Apparently they're very clear that they're being brave.
They can call themselves brave if they want. What the hell?
Oh my god.
Pixar can call themselves brave.
Why?
Because they made a film called Brave.
They can't call them... I mean...
They titled their own film.
Whatever. None of that makes sense, but whatever.
I like this song. I think it's a little bit overrated.
Agreed.
I really like David Bowie. I think it's pretty low on my list of like favorite songs of his, and I think he has done a lot of stuff that I like a lot more. And
this isn't close to my top 10.
Yeah, this is no Ziggy Stardust.
I'm so glad because I didn't really pay too much attention to this song because I was like, I've heard this a million times. It's everywhere. Okay, I guess it was.
I am brave.
I mean, look, it's a good song. I felt like I listened to it and I was like, oh, right, this song. I don't have a ton to say about it.
I feel like it's on the list because it's like, it's roughly middle-ish of his career, sort of, like, as far as
if they're going
producing albums, that sort of thing. And, like, it's just a perfect little example of whatever this song is. Which is not just a David Bowie song, but it's sort of a feeling of the time. But
if you're going for like populist, like dancing David Bowie, Heroes is 10,000 times better than this.
Yeah, it is.
Yes. I didn't read the book article.
Suffragette City is my favorite David Bowie song.
Which one?
Suffragette City.
That's great.
Such a good dancing song.
Under Pressure is the best song ever.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah,
so there are 5 Bowie songs on the songs list.
Oh,
we hit Under Pressure.
Yeah, we've already reviewed.
We did this.
I assume I gave a 5 because it's the best song of all time.
No, we've not done that one yet.
Oh, we haven't.
I'm saying there are 5 on the list.
Done Under Pressure?
No,
we did an album with Under Pressure.
Maybe. I don't think so.
Maybe we did.
Or maybe I just took some random opportunity to talk about how I really love Under Pressure.
That's totally fair.
We may have done a Bowie album. Whatever. The point is, the 5 songs are obviously the one we're doing now, Let's Dance. My favorite Bowie song, Life on Mars.
Yeah.
Heroes.
Great song.
Under Pressure. And then another kind of over... Oh, wait, we did cover the song. Episode 106, we did The Man Who Sold the World, which we all commented on. Oh, why is this one of the 5? That's fine.
Yeah. It was fine.
Have any of you listened to David Bowie's last album?
I have.
Not all of it.
It's had some really good shit on there. Like, it's not dancey at all, but like the song Lazarus,
it's real sad.
It's like pretty incredible.
Yeah,
that's the one that he like made, and he recorded the video like knowing that he was dying, and like it's a lot. Like it's a lot, but it is a really incredible song. And I was just like, I was listening to Let's Dance, and I was like, I mean, they're different types of music, but man.
It's hard
we did cover the album Young Americans in episode 99.
That would explain why we talked about.
So, yeah, sorry, we've had a lot of Bowie since.
Well, which is good, because Bowie is, like, one of the greatest artists of the 20th century. So, I mean, like, I think what's hard is, like, even if I were going to make, like, a list like this, like, it's hard, because you can't put, you know, every Beatles song on the list. You can't put 17 Bowie songs on the list, right? And, like, I
wasn't a fan of one of the Beatles songs, whichever one it was. It was, like, the weird one that they had on Mad Men. And I was like
Strawberry Fields Forever.
It's a great song.
I love Strawberry Fields Forever.
So it wasn't that one.
Which song do you hate?
I don't know. It's really
Which
not
Beatles song does Pedro
hate?
hate?
Tomorrow Never Knows. That's what you didn't like.
It's a good song. The like this one, like it wouldn't have been what I picked. I understand the logic. That if you're going to pick Bowie songs, you should pick a dance number somewhere in there. This is a good one.
Genie, though.
I don't know. Like, that's the thing. Like, there are better ones. It's hard for me then to say, like, okay, but then, like, what do I do about this song?
Like his maybe 13th best song.
Right. Like, is his 13th best song, like, it's a hard thing to rate. But I think we should try.
No, I think we should.
Yeah, I guess.
That's the premise.
That's sort of what we do.
I feel this is like an understood thing. Like, David Bowie's a genius. This song's great. More songs are greater.
Yep.
I'm glad I heard
More
it again.
songs are greater. The Austin
Yar.
Bieber story.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's my story.
It's your story.
It's your memoir.
I'm okay with that. I give this a 4.8 because why not?
Oh.
No, that's high. 4.5.
I fucking write it down. He sees me write it
Maybe
down.
you shouldn't write it down. I think
Then
at some
I'll-
point this
then I'm
becomes on you.
Then I have to-
I mean, I
Four
kind of want to
ones.
bring it down a little more now that I think about it.
I'm gonna give it a 4. Like, it's a great song. It's a solid 80% out of 100 song. It's great.
If I heard the song in a complete vacuum, like none of this thing, I go, oh my, this is amazing. So I'm going to go like 4.4.
I think it's fair.
I'm gonna give it a 3.75.
It's not
Yeah.
for you. That's fair.
Yeah, it's not for me, I don't think. I like the first 30 seconds, and then it's that same 30 seconds for 7 minutes. And
It's not.
then I get tired.
It's long.
Cool.
All right, that was Let's Dance by David Bowie. Now it is time to go to Stars Hollow. Ziggy Stardust to Stars Hollow with the TV show Gilmore Girls.
If you're out on the road, feeling lonely and so cold, all you have to do is call my name and I'll be there on the next train. Where you lead, I will follow anywhere that you tell.
If you're out on the road, feeling
Can I say?
lonely and so cold. Yeah.
This is the only show I've ever watched on Netflix where after me watching 2 episodes, they don't automatically skip the intro.
Because it's a great intro.
I
And everyone should
just-
watch it
I
every
watched it.
time.
Many times.
And I'm the opposite because I skip the intro because
That's kind of the worst.
it cut off 3 minutes of the episode.
It's kind of the worst. Okay, I guess, Austin, you can actually introduce this fucking show.
So, Gilmore Girls is a show created by Amy Sherman Palladino, who went on to make lots of great shows like Bunheads and currently the award-winning The Marvelous Miss Maisel, but this is still kind of her major shows, what everyone kind of looks at, much like The West Wing for Aaron Sorkin.
It's a very apt analogy that I was about to make, and you stole my thunder.
Wahaha. Originally aired on the WB in the year 2000, eventually kind of absorbed by the CW in 2006, and then had a 1-year reunion 4-part special on Netflix.
Which was fine.
So it is a show about a mother and daughter, Lorelai and Rory Gilmore. They are the titular Gilmore Girls. Lorelai had Rory when she was very young, and they kind of operate almost more as best friends than a traditional mother and daughter relationship. And they live in a very quaint New England, painfully quaint.
Painfully quaint is a good way to describe it.
New England town where Lorelai works at an inn. The cook is Miss McCarthy, and just you have relationships with different boyfriends and fiancés, and Lorelai kind of coming to terms with her own mother and father, and super fast dialogue and references that the characters shouldn't be having. It is a.
I don't need your sass. Here's what I will say.
Uh-huh.
If you're going to be mad at Amy Sherman Palladino for the fact that her characters are making references that they should not know about,
That's my favorite parts of the show.
just make sure that you are just as mad at Aaron Sorkin. That's all I'm saying.
Oh,
Everyone's read Don
point
Quixote
and
in the
match.
original Spanish.
No,
Yeah.
no, that was about to be my joke as well. Like, every Sorkin character has read Don Quixote,
Right.
and listened to every single opera. No, actually, the fact that their characters reference Hal Ashby films is one of my favorite parts of the show,
So
because I don't care that they're 15. It's hilarious that they know Hal Ashby's repertoire to quickly make a coming home joke in the middle of a high school lunch. So anyway, but this is a very iconic show for many reasons. It is a very personal show for many people, especially growing up during this time.
Me.
It contrasted so many expectations of what a family dramedy looks like on TV, especially with such a signature writing voice. But really, I just want to kind of now not actually handing the mic, we have our own mics, to Sarah, because I've watched a season and a half of this show. Sarah has watched all of it. And,
multiple times.
And to quote her phrases, you have many feelings about
I have
this.
a lot of feelings about this show. So the first feelings, hi Mom, I hope you're listening to this. The first feelings is my mom and I, this was the way that my mom and I built an adult relationship, was watching Gilmore Girls when I was in high school and early college, is like watching this show together. And the truth is, like, the reason this show is so important to me is it is such a female show that is unabashedly about the emotional lives of its female characters, written by a woman, and done just like so well. And it never, like, Gilmore Girls falters. You can say it's slow, you can say all sorts of stuff, but you can never say that it falls back into like crappy anti-woman, anti-feminist tropes. Like, it stays so good. And like, all of its characters are complicated and flawed and messy. I'd say like Rory spends the first like, the daughter spends the first like 3 seasons being sort of like perfect, like, which is like a plot necessary role, because those first 3 seasons are about her mom, like, at some basic level, and her mom's mom, and like they're dealing with their crap, and Rory is like exists to make them trying to work that out have a motivation. Once Rory gets to college, like, everything totally flips, and it's very much about the downsides of the way Rory's sort of perfectionist bookworm life is, and like very, very risk averse life, which is sort of like the fundamental dynamic between Lorelai and Rory is sort of, and like literally like this is a girl who, Lorelai is a girl who, when she was 16, had a baby and named it after herself. Like, they're both named Lorelai, and Rory goes by Rory, and it's about Rory reaching the age that her mom was when she got pregnant and decided to have a kid and ran away from home, and like didn't finish high school and set up in like a little like hotel with a woman who was willing to give her a place to live, and like being very, very concerned that Rory's gonna do that, and then like dealing with that fear and like figuring out where risk tolerance is. Like, what does it mean to be a teenager? What does it mean to like, how much is like taking risks fucking up your life, and how much is it living your life? Like, it's
Wait, I've kind of two things.
I have a lot of things to say.
No. I want to.
That was not coherent.
We want to hear all of them, Sarah.
I have one quick. I just don't know the answer to this. I'm on middle season 2 right now, and so I've not seen Rory in college seasons yet. There are a number of shows at this time that got hurt quality wise by going to college. Buffy and Veronica Mars are the
Obvious
2 notable
choices,
ones.
yeah.
Does that fall in the same trap or no?
No.
Are you a Harvard man or a Yale man?
So
you can't just keep quoting Sorkin.
It's
No,
funny.
I'm not.
It's so funny
Go to
because
Harvard, go to Harvard.
I mean, honestly, like, what's funny about that is like literally that is the the show is also important to me because like I grew up in an environment. I grew up in DC, but my mother's family is very New England, and this kind of small town life, and particularly the ties to the Ivy League, is very much like a part of my family's life.
That's right.
Yeah,
Harvard,
so,
Yale.
right.
Okay.
So like, it's funny that you make that joke because Rory grows up. So Rory, like,
you watched the show?
No, I didn't watch it recently, but like I grew up with people that watched it, so I've seen many episodes here on TV.
So like, Stars Hollow, this fictional Connecticut town, is driving distant. It's close, like less than 30 minutes away from New Haven, which is where Yale is. And Rory is set up the whole time for the first 3 seasons of the show as planning to go to Harvard. She ends up going to Yale. I can't remember how exactly. I think she doesn't get into Harvard. Like, there's a drama involving that, and ends up going to Yale. So she is going to college.
Her grandparents.
Right, which is where her grandparents went. Which is where her grandparents went, and so she, like, her mother has coached her all through her life to, like, of course, like, not do what her parents did, but still achieve the thing that is right next to it. I, like, literally am from a Harvard family, and my dream school was Yale for a while, so, like, this is very, it's, like, very, and I ended up going non-Ivy League and going to the University of Chicago, which was genuinely difficult for my family. I know this is, like, some elitist bullshit, but I'm just, like, sharing my emotional life. So anyway, when she goes to college, it does the same thing that almost every other show does, is it picks the college that's close by so that all of the characters can keep their exact same relationships that they do. One of the things that's fun about it is, so, like, the central conceit of the show that makes these three generations interact, right? So Lorelai has basically the mom has not had contact with her own parents since she was 16 and had a baby. They, like, see their granddaughter, like, occasionally. Lorelai wants to send her daughter to private school. She can't afford it. She goes to her parents. They pay for it. In exchange, she has to go to dinner every week. That's the deal. And when Rory goes to Yale, spoilers, that arrangement continues, but only for Rory. Rory asks her grandparents to help her afford college. They say, yes, but you have to have dinner with us every week. But your mother doesn't anymore, right? And so the second half is about Rory, like, doing college, interacting with a character named Logan, who is played, I do not remember the actor's name, but you would recognize him as the guy who plays Carrie in The Good Wife.
I knew he was on the show, and it is really hard for me to picture him not in a suit.
I mean, he pretty much wears a suit most of the time.
Oh my god, Carrie from The Good Wife is in this?
Oh, and like, no, like, he's
what?
young, he's young and hot, and it's a very important part of my life.
He was young and hot in The Good Wife.
I know, like, he's younger and hotter, like, it's a thing. It's a thing in my life. He's like, he's like an overprivileged playboy who takes a lot of risks and doesn't care about his life.
It's the only
and, like,
character he plays.
Rory, like, has to, like, learn to, like, accept, like, living life a little bit broader, but also Logan kind of sucks, and it's just a lot. It does a very, very good job. The show, like, I think it's one of the only shows that does not fail when she goes to college. You're sort of holding your breath because you think it will. Like, at the transition itself is awkward, of course, but, like, so its fourth season is, like, a little rough, and then it hits its groove when Logan shows up, when, like, her first major college love interest shows up. And then it's very, very good for 2 seasons, and then the 7th season is a fucking mess because Amy Sherman-Palladino was less involved, and it's one of those shows that fired. She was fired, so it's one of those shows that just, like, doesn't end the way it's supposed to. So that just, like, sucks.
It's so easy to compare her to Aaron Sorkin because they have the very similar pitter-patter, very specific East Coast way of having the characters speak. Obviously, Amy Sherman-Palladino has a better depiction of gender than Aaron Sorkin.
Amy Sherman-Palladino doesn't suck.
My God,
How about
yes.
that? I love Aaron Sorkin shows.
So it's just kind of funny that, like, her flagship show, she also wasn't in the last season of, aside from the Netflix thing. But
I don't know what it says about me that my 2 major high school touchstones are Gilmore Girls and The West Wing. Those are, like, those shows are the shows that made me who I am. So that's cool.
But I want to kind of...
Not talk to me anymore?
No, you're just looking at me on mic. I don't know how to mute you. I think I did it wrong last time. No, but I want to bring in JC because I believe, JC, you watched this for the first time?
Ooh.
Yes, I've never seen it before.
So what did you think of the first handful of episodes that you've seen of the series?
I watched the first 8 episodes of the first season, which I was very surprised at because I didn't think that I just didn't think that I'd be like, oh, I'll keep watching. But I did. I found it very, it's addictively watchable. Like, I really was compelled by it. It's very interesting to watch it not as someone who's Rory's age, but someone who's, like, Lorelai's age.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
oh God,
it was
it's
very
so true and horrible.
It's so weird.
It's horrible.
I think that's very, like, and I can imagine it's even weirder if you're a person who is, like, Rory's age and then watching it again. Being Lorelai's age.
32. I'm turning 31 this year. Like,
Yeah.
I'm having a lot of existential feelings.
Yeah. And it was very interesting to watch it. I know I like yelled about this on the WhatsApp, but the fact that like her parents are like, Lorelai has zero potential. And I'm like, she's my age and she has a kid and a car and a house and a job and a career where she's received promotions. You don't have all those things if you're my age, unless there was some sort of like, I don't know, like that's just pretty rare. And that's like the and I think some of it is TV magic and you know, TV drama, but also it's just like the standards of like what it means to succeed have just changed so much for our generation because we're crippled by student debt and a lot of other things.
You're not wrong.
Economy. But yeah, and I did really like it. Like I think there were things where I was like, there are things where I'm like, wow, like this show is just so incredibly white.
So white. It's so white.
It's so white. It's as white as a Connecticut tablecloth.
Yeah.
I think the things it's trying to say about class are like interesting and like, but I think I need to like watch the show more because I just think it's so different. Like that 2000 is so different than 2018.
Yeah. Having
lived through 2008 and like the way we measure like what a real person when it comes to money is just very different. And I think in that respect, it doesn't age as well. I think some of the like, but I think it does speak at its heart to like a lot of tensions that exist between families. I really bought into the show when the core sort of conflict became like Rory is a lot like her grandparents and not as much like Lorelai. That's when I was like, okay, like this is interesting and very smart, and this is a really interesting source of conflict and tension. There's like stuff happening that is interesting. Like I think Luke is very cute.
Luke's great.
The angry coffee man.
Still a lot to say.
But now Lorelai is dating Rory's teacher. You know what I thought when I was watching this? This doesn't really have anything to do with Gilmore Girls. I would love to see some representations of single moms in TV or in movies who aren't like sort of glamorous sex kittens. Like I would just love that. I can't think of a single fucking show that's ever done that isn't like, oh yes, the person who had her baby at 16 doesn't still dress like she's 16. Like I would love to see that.
And like I think Lorelai.
Wait a second. I feel like I've definitely seen this. I'm just thinking of real life. Sorry, go on.
No, if you could find one, I'd love to watch it, but I just can't think of anything.
Well, and like Lorelai, like I actually think the show does some interesting stuff with her about like what exactly her emotional state is, because it's like it's more like Arrested Development, but like it's like not the show, like the concept.
Right.
That like she had a baby at 16. She's been in full like mother mode, and you sort of get the sense that like she's on mother mode for Rory's whole life until the time the show starts. Like it's made clear later that Lorelai has never had a boyfriend while Rory has been a child, and so like you're seeing sort of like the beginnings of her life starting again as her daughter is now like able to be a human, and like she's 16 and she can like go to school and
go outside and not die.
Right? Yeah, like she's not like a human death machine like a toddler. Yeah, like the show is very white. I guess like my defense of it is so is Connecticut. But like it's a show about like it is at least unabashedly a show about what it's about. It knows like it is telling the story of the emotional problems of like wasps from Connecticut. Like that is the story it's telling. It is telling the story about the emotional problems of wasp women from Connecticut, and in that way, it is unusual. Like, it is probably the only television show I can think of that does this. It, like, falls in with, like, literally, like, it falls, like, other depictions of this are, like, Virginia Woolf. Here's what I think about Gilmore Girls and sort of, like, looking at the path that Amy Sherman Palladino's, like, career has taken and all of this other stuff. Like, if Gilmore Girls were made today, it would be on, like, HBO or Showtime. It would be a family drama it would have 7 episodes instead of 23. They might be half hour, I don't know. But, like, it would be this, like, very focused, like, look at those. It would be like family dinners. Like, it would be called something like Family Dinners, and it would be about these, like, key moments in almost every episode. There's a family dinner with Emily Gilmore, which is Lorelai's mom, and Lorelai's father, and Lorelai and her daughter. And, like, the show instead is a very wide-ranging, sometimes stupid, often, Austin was complaining earlier this morning, which I think is a very valid critique of the show, that, like, an amazing amount of time in every episode is taken up by characters explaining to each other what just happened in a scene that the other character wasn't in. Which is,
yes,
like,
that's very true.
Just, like...
It happens the whole series.
It's the whole time.
My solution is every character should be in every scene.
Yeah,
just
it's
stay
really
in the
something.
background, then you all know what's going on at any moment, because every episode
It's so much time.
Rory does something at the newspaper club, and then she has to tell her mom about this. Mom tells Sookie about this. Sookie gets some advice. Mom, here's
Yeah,
advice.
there's something to be had, because every
then
time I
tells
saw
the
those
grandma
scenes-
about this, and the grandma gives advice, and then she gives it back to Rory, and Rory does the thing. 20-minute show.
And I think I look at what the show would be now, and I haven't watched Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, but, like,
it was
I
funny how much
understand.
you described, like 70% of what you said of, like, what it would be now is Maisel. I mean,
Yeah.
Maisel is a period piece with a very specific thematic focus of what feminism and women's rights were in the 50s. That is more plot, loose word, driven than Gilmore Girls' ambitions. But it has...
Yeah, Gilmore Girls is definitely just like, we're going to wander through Rory's junior year of high school.
Which is also Bunheads, which is a show I love, which is a few people dealing with unexpected grief centered around a high school ballet group.
And
Bunheads. This is great.
But I just, like, it's interesting because I think, like, Gilmore Girls does not get the respect it deserves, and it doesn't because it's about women and written by a woman. Amy Sherman Palladino is genuinely as good or better at dialogue than Aaron Sorkin is. And, like, that value in filmmaking and television making is very highly valued in culture generally, of being able to do, like, the quick snap, fast dialogue, and yet, like, no neckbeard who loves, like, that kind of who loves Joss Whedon and Aaron Sorkin has ever seen Gilmore Girls. You know what I mean? And, like...
Yeah, totally.
It's weird how good Amy Sherman Palladino is at dialogue, and there is kind of a like, running joke among TV critics that, like, every Amy Sherman Palladino show, the second main writer is her brother.
He's real bad.
Sherman Palladino. And it's funny because, like, I watch the episodes and I can tell, it's not just when it's Daniel, but when it's anyone else, when it's not her.
Yeah.
It honestly feels sometimes the plot could be good, sometimes the themes could be good, and always performances are good, but then sometimes it feels like season 4 of Community, where I go, that's not actually the dialogue.
It's not right. Like, and because her characters are so, like, are drawn in such, like, a nuanced way, where, like, she's very careful that, like, when she's writing Lorelai never says anything that Lorelai wouldn't say. You know what I mean? There's, like, an element of, like...
Yeah, Lorelai's the worst one people get it wrong, because
she's hard. I mean, she's a hard character to write for, I think.
Well, because she rarely answers a question.
No, and because she's, like, super non-self-aware, and she's all over the place, and, like, she's very human that way. Like, she's very,
No, I understand, but, like,
yeah.
the idea, like, with the dialogue specifically, it's, like, Lorelai responds with a bit more than an actual answer, as always.
Which is everything about Lorelai that you need to know.
Yeah, and Amy Sherman Palladino is the best when you can respond with a bit of either a reference or a joke, but move the plot forward. And the ones who can't do it well get into a loop or do a hard stop.
Yeah.
And Sherman Palladino is so good about, like, the bit expands on the bit, which expands on the bit, which expands on what they're actually feeling, which expands on what's going on now. And it's really incredible to see what looks at the beginning like a ramble and becomes a really well done bow of comedy writing.
Like, it's a show that, if it existed now, it would exist looking like Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. It would be a very different show. And it's actually, I think, a very good argument for the 22-episode, 40-minute season. Like, because instead, you live with these characters for 22 episodes, some of which are good and some of which are bad. We watched this morning, Austin was watching, and I came in, and seriously, I've seen every episode of this show so many times that, like, I saw, like, one, like, frame of it, and I was like, I know what episode we're on, but, like, just to, like, tease for the future, JC, like, this is the kind of thing, like, in the middle of a season that's mostly been, like, I don't know, there's a dance competition in the town, and maybe, like, a party, and, like, Rory needs to get into college, and, like, I mean, like, really, like, sort of banal plot lines.
There
like,
was one plot line that they really thought someone was going to get married. And everybody
who's watching the show knows they're not going to get married because Luke is so great.
Also, the fiancé is not in the opening credits. 12 cast members are.
Yeah.
Weird that the new fiancé of the show is not.
But there's an episode where the plot is the woman who runs the inn that Lorelai works at, who like comes back and visits and is lovely, and over the course of like a dialogue heavy episode, you start to realize that basically this woman is like the great question of the first season and a half, which is a fair question that it turns out the show is expecting you to ask, which is, this does not make financial sense. How did this happen? The show answers in that episode and says, this is how this happened. This is the person who got Lorelai like set up and got her to the place that she is. And there's a confrontation or a conversation between this woman who takes over very much like a mother role when Lorelai runs away, and Emily Gilmore. And so, like, that is, like, the reason that the whole season is worth being with. And it's a very pleasant... Stars Hollow and Rory and Lorelai are a very pleasant place to be. But I think I sometimes, when I was watching it this time around, was like, oh, like, I'm used to things moving faster. But, like, it does make those moments all the more satisfying, where you're like, oh, I'm in a deeply emotionally devastating conversation for these characters. Like, this is Emily Gilmore dealing with, like, the most complex and difficult part of her entire life. And we've been watching her, like, care about fashion shows. And, like, now, like, we're here, and she's doing this instead. And it really, its emotional beats are very earned. And because of that are just, like, knife in the heart. Hard and wonderful, and everyone should watch it forever. It's great. The end.
The most recent bit that I've seen, which I feel like maybe we should mention, is the 4-part ending. Because it came back out of nowhere.
So it's kind of a bummer, right? Like, it's...
Well, that's just for me. Let's avoid specific plot points.
Yeah, so like...
Yeah, same, because I'd like to read. I don't want it to be totally...
Talk about the overall quality and what it was like to return, because it's now the weird new trend. Because right now we have on the air Murphy Brown, Will and Grace, Roseanne 2.0,
I mean
2.5.
Basically, I think it's very simple. Season 7 of Gilmore Girls is kind of shitty. Both because like the writers, I mean, Amy Sherman Palladino is fired. The writers sort of know where it's supposed to go, but like don't have the skill to get it there. Everyone, like, it's one of those shows that just, like, if you're a fan, you just, like, don't talk about the ending. Like, it's like, okay, then we pretend, like...
Season 4 of Community.
Right, exactly. And so, like, it's basically, like, the 4-parter is basically Amy Sherman Palladino coming back in and fixing that, which is done, in my opinion, in a very, like, kind of workman-like pattern. It's like, okay, like, we're going to get to the results and the emotional revelations that we needed, and we're going to do that in a way that is, like, sort of efficient, and, like, we're going to do it.
It sounds like homework.
Yeah, it is a little. It is not as fun as... And it is very much, like, when I say, like, what this show would be if it was made today, like, it is very, like, every episode is a season. We do fall, and then winter, and then spring, and then summer, and we have things we need to do each episode. And there is a last line, as Amy Sherman Palladino has always said that she knows the last line of the show. So we have to get there and find out what it is. And so it's like, it's just like a totally different thing than the sort of like the meandering show where like sometimes you'd have a Gilmore Girls episode that is about like something deeply stupid, like a deeply, like there's nothing in that there's nothing like that in the 4-parter. It's very much like, we are going to revisit all the characters.
Aren't they long episodes too?
They're they're an hour to an hour 20, so they're
That's a long episode of TV.
Which is also it also doesn't really fit Gilmore Girls. Like Gilmore Girls does very well in sort of like a classic 3-act structure of like a main storyline with emotional beats usually like hidden beneath it until like every once in a while it goes like, okay, we're doing this. Like we're doing, which is usually like, I mean, it's so funny because it's become from the 2000s. So like it's sweeps week. Like you know when it's coming because of how TV works. Like Lorelai's ex-husband, or not ex-husband, ex-boyfriend, who is Rory's dad, Christopher, like they do really interesting things with him. He's a fascinating character. Their relationship is great. They do their relationship is complicated and interesting. But like, man, does he show up at Sweeps Week? It's so funny.
His role in season 2 is so funny because it's very clear they only made a very small portion of a set.
Yeah.
So whenever he's on the phone, he's just near his
so
DVD
You're
shelf
right.
at
You're
all
right.
times.
He does. He just like sits near his DVD shelf in his apartment. That's the weird.
You've never seen all his walls. It's just his.
No,
phone
I totally remember that
his
now.
DVD shelf.
It's totally true. But like, you know, like it's so it's just like it's very much a relic. But oh god, I love this show so much. I feel like I haven't said enough, and I love it.
I think we should do some final thoughts on it. I have watched a season and a half. It is definitely my very easy least favorite Sherman Palladino show.
No one likes your face.
By a lot.
I don't like your face anymore.
It is a situation where I think...
What other shows?
Bunheads and The Marvelous Mrs. Maisels are shows I like a whole lot.
I have no desire to watch The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Hey, you know who's wrong about stuff sometimes? Austin.
Mm-hmm. What? Wait. By liking Marvelous Mrs. Maisel?
My point is that Gilmore Girls is great and you should love it. And if you don't love it, I'm going to be mad at you.
It's a show that I do like, but I am ultimately... There's a few things that go against it. And this goes with other things, like especially when I used to work in a mystery bookstore, and one of the most popular subgenres of mysteries people really liked were these kind of like, not always cozy, but cozy mysteries or kind of hardball mysteries that were set in a small town that they kind of want to live in. I would lose my mind if I lived in this town.
Oh yeah, Stars Hollow is insane.
And I think there is a bit of like, wouldn't you like to like live in this kind of community? I actually would live in the world of Bunheads or Mrs. Maisel. I hate
Stars Hollow.
I kind of hate Stars Hollow.
They get smarter about it. You're only two seasons in.
I know.
They're gonna problematize Stars Hollow a little bit more.
And I think truly, it's hard for me to think of a bad scene with the grandparents. I think that
they're so good.
Because I think those are characters that are allowed to be more complicated and even like a little bit uglier.
Yeah,
that I feel Lorelai and Rory need more of at this point in the show.
Oh, they'll get there.
Yeah. So I mean that again, I've just seen 30 to 40 episodes of the show. I've not seen the whole thing. But also like the thing that Sarah mentioned, every single episode has too much filler. And
oh yeah.
And I think this would be a really good 30-minute show.
Oh, absolutely. Except that at the time it was made, you can't make a 30-minute drama. They don't exist, right? Like it's just like so much of its time.
But it's not a new perspective. Like when they tell the grandma what's going on, there's not even like new words. They're saying the exact thing that happened, and then she goes, "Okay."
Well, that's part of the joy of it.
But and like the other reason it's happening is
because, it's a recap.
No, but the other reason it's happening is because everyone's coming back from commercial break. Like it is such a network show. Like it is so.
That's not good.
Well, that's fine, but it's great, and you're wrong. I mean, like, no. Here's what I will say. I am interested to know I'm interested to know what you think of the next two seasons, because it does get...
I actually am looking forward to watching more of this show. I
mean, like, I'm not saying the show ever gets ugly. Like, it's pretty shiny and happy, and is full of, like, fundamentally good people trying their best, but, like, it definitely brings to a head the underlying conflicts that underlie the first two seasons.
It doesn't needs to be ugly, because, again, like, Bunheads, which I really, really love, those are... 15 main characters that I just want to hug all the time, and like I don't want them to ever be sad, nothing to ever happen to them.
It's so funny because I would say, like, having watched all of Gilmore Girls, I don't think I'd say that about any of the main characters in Gilmore Girls. Honestly, like, overall, they all kind of suck, which is great because that's very human. Even Rory, who pretty much ends up driving me crazy by the time she gets to college. I just remember, like, just to give one more anecdote.
We do have to end this episode sometime.
Shush. This is important to me.
Sorry.
My mom and I would, like, watch Gilmore Girls. We'd watch it on a Saturday, and we'd, like, sit down and watch, like, 4 episodes in a row. And it would be, like, we'd watch one, and it was silly and stupid, and, like, they were having, like, a town, like, nativity pageant, and, like, Rory was, like, worried because she wasn't the popular kid in school, and Lorelai was, like, trying to buy a new inn. And then, like, you'd watch another 2 of those, and then we'd watch one that was, like, a family drama that was about, like, the fact that Lorelai's parents have irrevocably broken their relationship with their daughter in a way that will never be fixed, and they are trying to piece back the broken pieces of their relationship into something functional, and they have failed to do so. And we would end that episode, and we would just look at each other and be like, whew! And any show that can do both of those things is a great show. And it's not a show where I just want to hug everybody and have everything good happen to them. It's a good, complicated, wonderful show that I love.
I think in general, I just want more ugly people on TV.
They're ugly. Don't worry, JC. They'll get.
No,
ugly.
I mean like physically.
Oh, physically, I didn't know everyone in Gilmore Girls is pretty.
I just want. This is just the thing I want. This is the last thing I want to voice. I've been mulling this over. I know this is impossible because it's television, but it would just be nice to have some different looking people on TV.
Oh, for sure.
Who looked at different types of people.
Oh, yeah, and Gilmore Girls is like
nice.
100%.
Oh, that's pretty good thing that
up.
honestly blew my fucking mind in season 2. Season 2, a character has a bachelorette party. In that bachelorette party, they invite Michelle, the only black person in the show.
Oh my god, it's so true.
And then in that episode, they say canonically he's straight.
Which is hilarious because he is the gay character. And I cannot imagine that is not a network note. That Amy Sherman Palladino intended him to be a gay character, as she clearly wrote him. And then
is performed.
And is performed. And then the network was like, oh, Michelle's gay? Like, no, like, that's too much. Like, I have to think that's why that happens.
I honestly did not know that he was straight, like, officially.
It is absurd.
That is a lot of very new information.
Confused.
But, like, honestly, like, you guys this is 2001. Like,
I know.
There are not a lot of gay characters on television.
Will.
You've pretty much just got Will. Like, it's...
And, yeah, Will and Grace. And
that's pretty much...
Ellen, which was canceled immediately after.
Right, no, like, I mean, seriously, like, the idea of, like, a gay side character, like, it speaks well of the show that I always forget how old it is.
I give this a 3.5.
The fuck is wrong with you?
Whoa!
You're sleeping on the couch. I give it a 4.8. This is a great show. Everyone should watch it.
I'll give it a 4. I'm really looking forward to watching more of it, and I almost feel like I haven't watched enough of it to actually hinge it.
Yeah.
Because there's so much of it, and I watched a lot of it for me, who usually does not watch the show. But it was just very watchable, and there's a lot of stuff that I watch now on TV that's not super watchable. Breaking Bad, not super watchable.
Fair.
And it's nice to have a show that's like, even if it's not fucking erasing my brain and showing me new colors that I've never seen before or whatever, it's good. It's like bread. It's good.
All right, that is episode 141. We'll be back next week with the 610th. Pulling up my notes.
Staying modern.
Yeah, really close to this. 610th entry of all these lists. What are we going to watch next week?
Yeah.
No.
Wrong film.
No. Wait, isn't that Rocky? Is that Eye of the Tiger?
That is Rocky 3.
Is it 3?
Damn it! Fuck.
2 is the rematch of Apollo Creed. 3 is Mr. T.
We're watching Rocky.
Oh, it's really exciting.
I've never seen it.
But you've never seen it? Ooh,
No.
this is fun.
It has the Rocky theme, which is
Dun dun dun
better,
dun
in my
dun
opinion, than Eye of the
dun
Tiger.
dun 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 dun.
I agree.
Yeah, it's one of the best themes ever. I'm so excited.
Dun,
It's on my Movies album
dun,
It's great stuff.
song.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
That's what I was listening to.
The album is Introducing the Hardline according to Terence Trent D'Arby by Terence Trent D'Arby. I don't know anything about this album. We will see.
The song is The Trooper by Iron Maiden. I'm actually excited about this.
And the TV show is Scrubs.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. Scrubs. Starring Zach Braff.
2 hard hitters in a row.
That's true.
This is another 2000 show that I've never really watched. So.
Really?
And has, I believe, a ton on Netflix. So you can all check that out.
I love it.
I actually had the same rough upbringing with Scrubs as Gilmore Girls, in that it was around all the time, and definitely it'd be weird not being seen.
And I've seen
Pedro,
all
did you
Scrubs.
henge your Gilmore Girls?
No, I haven't seen it recently enough, and I feel like I definitely need to start it from the beginning, get the full context of all those episodes that I've seen, but I think it deserves it.
Cool. And you can always give any old business new hinges on anything that we've covered. We haven't hinged yet. But while that's going on, check out theartofmore.com. You can check out the many other things, including other podcasts, including Let's Take 5. You can go back and check out the Robert Altman 5, where we reviewed Nashville amidst his other 5 of MASH, McCabe, Mrs. Miller, Shortcuts, and A Prairie Home Companion. And that Altman 5 going on there. Ad Absurdum is back with an episode about the Santa Claus, which is super fun. Special thanks to Adam Lord for all the musical drops in this. Our Twitter is the Immortals Pod, and leave us a review on iTunes. We're back with all those things. Until then, I'm Austin.
I'm Sarah.
I'm JC.
And I'm Pedro.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See you later.